Don't you worry, the cavalry is coming. This is today's Arsenal News Show. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys and girls for another episode of what is indeed the Arsenal News Show. Joining you every single morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Thank you so much as always for joining me and making this a part of your morning routines. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've had a really fantastic start to your week so far, and indeed that it will get even better as the week goes on. The international break is fully underway, and Arsenal, of course, will see their players fly off to their relevant nations to take part in their relevant fixtures that have some relevance to us. Maybe, kind of, sort of, but not really, because we don't really care about international football. But don't tell people that. Anyway, good morning to you all. Thank you so much as always for joining. Appreciate you being here. And Lion Sturken says, thought you were taking the week off. Weekend off, Saturday, Sunday. No shows on Saturday and Sunday, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so on. Of course, we'll be here. We'll be back. Steve, good morning to you, to Jamil, to Matt G, to Natty Tom, to Black Shine, to Rowan. We've got Canoe and Arasilki and Amesy. Good morning to Shari and Amber Lee and Logan and Mike. Good morning to Rich and John LaRoche. Good morning. John LaRoche. I almost thought, is that Art's dad? But it's a different Roche. It's not Darosh. La Roche. Paul, good morning to you, to Mike, to Glenn, to Z. Good morning to Martin and Tom and Mohammed and Freddie. Good morning to you all. Thank you so much, all of you, for listening and joining. Really appreciate you being here as always. I hope you've had a really good start to your week as well. So let's not waste any more time. If you could drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show, that would be greatly appreciated. So go ahead and do it. Do it now. Let's jump, though, into today's stories. And we begin with a congratulations. I should have mentioned this yesterday because it happened over the weekend. But thank you to those that sent in the messages reminding me to cover it. But Arsenal's under-16s have won the national tournament 2025-2026. Of course, it shows the continuing impressive talent that is coming through the Arsenal Youth Academy. Max Dowman has already made his debut for the Arsenal senior side at just 15 years of age, becoming the youngest ever Champions League player. Well, Arsenal's under-16s clearly have got a lot of talent also coming through the ranks as well. A variety, of course, of ages involved in that squad, and one that shows that indeed Arsenal's youth teams can be successful. Of course, at the kind of older youth age groups, Arsenal's players tend to kind of move on, and so it's a bit of a struggle, I guess, for the under-21s and under-18s at times. But the under-16s having a fantastic time winning the U16 national tournament. So again, massive congratulations to them, as I can see all of you in the chat box congratulating them as well. Now, if you've not listened to Nacho Monreal's story, I recommend that you go and give it a listen, because it has been it was a really entertaining listen. I have to say, it was only a little couple little clips that I have that I've been kind of listening with, but about a week ago, I think it was, that he did this interview, but it's only just kind of transpired some of the clips that have been coming out, and he's been doing some of these kind of mini chats, and he talks about how he kind of joined Arsenal in a moment of spontaneity, if you like, because he talks about how Santi Cazorla was ringing him in the morning saying, like, would you like to join Arsenal? And he's like, what? And he's like, would you like to join Arsenal? I'm 100% serious. It's not a joke. Like, would you like to join Arsenal? And he's like, yes, of course. And then Manuel Pellegrini, obviously, was Malaga manager at the time, was like, Arsenal have made an offer. They'd like to sign you. Would you like to go? And he was like, yes, I would. And so he said 3 hours later, he was in London signing for the club. In fact, he said he tried to ring his missus like 8-9 times and she didn't pick up the phone. And eventually, when she did pick up the phone, he was like, I'm in London. And she's like, what? I'm signing for Arsenal. What? He just signed for Arsenal without checking that his wife was going to be all right with it. I think it's one of those things where all of us would do our best to try and get in contact, obviously. But if you're not picking up the phone, I'm probably going to sign the deal. I'm probably going to sign that contract. So, yeah, he talked about how happy he was at the club, how he never really thought about leaving, and obviously stayed at Arsenal for a very long time, won FA Cups with the club, started in FA Cup finals for the club, and was critical, of course, in scoring in that big Manchester United game as well. You might remember the goal he scored at Old Trafford before Danny Welbeck scored as well. an amazing career he had in a short space of, I say short space, he stayed for a fair chunk of time at Arsenal. And I think became something of a cult hero. He certainly goes down as a player that I really did like. I think one of the most consistently improving players, one of the most underrated players at Arsenal. I think made that left-back role his own. Kieran Gibbs, of course, was the starting left-back at the time, but Nacho Monreal really did take that role and make it what it was. It was probably one of the earliest players to kind of change the role. You know, their left-back role had kind of been known as this more kind of bombing up the left-hand side as Kieran Gibbs would and get the ball in the box, but defensively was always maybe a little bit more in question, similar to kind of Ashley Cole at the time when he was first with the Invincibles team. Very much an attack-minded fullback that had the capacity to defend, certainly, and definitely grew that aspect of his game while at Chelsea. But Monreal was kind of more of the balanced jack of all trades, but master of plenty still as well. And I think provided Arsenal with a lot of good times and good performances as well. And it was probably a bit of a linchpin for that side. And maybe even a bit of a trendsetter that Arsenal would gradually improve upon with players like Zinchenko and now, of course, with Calafiori to a more kind of chaotic and well-rounded approach to a fullback player. But Monreal, I think, started it all for the evolution of Arsenal's left-hand side. And then Kieran Tierney, I guess, kind of broke the mold again, becoming more of a traditional option in that position as well. But moving ahead, in the last couple of slides I want to talk to you about, this is a brilliant tweet, I thought, that provides perspective. This comes from Score Guy. If you don't know who Score Guy is, then I don't know, you must be living under a rock, quite frankly. And I hope he's a fan of the show. And if he's watching, thanks for your work. It's always appreciated whenever Arsenal's players score and the camera happens to pan to the corner of that North Bank to see, of course, Score Guy there in kind of that corner where the West Stand meets the North Bank, and he's always giving the scoreline to the camera or doing the Gyökeres celebration more recently. But he tweeted this, which I thought was a really interesting and insightful piece. He says, before the October international break, Arsenal had a 1-point lead over Liverpool, a 3-point lead over Manchester City, and a 5-point lead over Chelsea. Going into the November international break, Arsenal have a 4-point lead over Manchester City, a 6-point lead over Chelsea, and an 8-point lead over Liverpool. So if you need a perspective about where indeed Arsenal have been and where they are now from one international break to the other, I think this is a really, really good piece of perspective that provides Arsenal and our fans, of course, with that knowledge. Yes, it's disappointing that we drew that game against Sunderland, but my goodness me, if you could kind of compare the two and how Arsenal are progressing, then you know absolutely we're on a positive trajectory. I know that the last result is always kind of the last result that stings the most and sits in our mind the most and stews over an international break. I get that, but I absolutely think that this is a really, really good piece of perspective for Arsenal fans. The three main kind of contenders, if you like, to challenge Arsenal at all, will be the biggest threats to Arsenal, even though Chelsea, Chelsea's hard to even consider too much, but they're involved in this, and Arsenal have widened the gap to all of those teams in that space of time between the two international breaks. So I thought it was a really good bit of perspective. But the big kind of news, because news is thin and it's thin on the ground during these international breaks, is that the cavalry is coming for Arsenal. The cavalry is definitely coming for Arsenal, because Simon Collins at the Evening Standard did a really good piece, or just for the Standard, it's called these days. So Simon for the Standard did a really good piece talking about kind of Arsenal's injury returns and what his understanding is. And there was a couple of insights in that piece, particularly that Noni Madueke was actually close to being in the squad that was sent up to Sunderland. And there was a small chance that Madueke might have been that mystery player that we were kind of talking about, who might be that guy that's nearly going to be with the group. And it seems that Noni Madueke was that player. And it's obviously very positive that Arsenal are going to be getting back so many players, because we know that on top of Madueke, Ødegaard and Havertz are close to returning as well, while also Gyökeres and Martinelli are also close to returning as well. So 5 players are hoping to be pushing, all to be pushing to return for that North London derby. The question that we have is Arsenal going to do a behind closed doors friendly? It would make sense, wouldn't it, for Arsenal to do something during this break if a lot of these players are back? Because games against Spurs, Bayern, and Chelsea, they're not the most comfortable games, if you like, to reintroduce players because they're very high-profile games, high-pressure games, and at no point is there really a comfortable time to reintroduce those players seamlessly. So, is a behind closed doors friendly the answer to that? I think it would be a very good idea for Arsenal to do that. But also there is, I think, the opportunity as well with Arsenal playing under 18s action. And if we have a quick look at the fixtures for the academy team, I believe there is a game this evening. Cardiff City play Arsenal's under 21s on Tuesday, the 11th of November, which is today at 7:45 p.m. And it says it's on Sky Sports. So you might be able to actually watch this game on Sky Sports tonight. That's what it says on the Arsenal website. So maybe we'll see some involved. Maybe they'll get some action. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I'm curious to see if that is going to be the case today. But that brings us to the end of part 1. We're going to move to part 2 now. Your questions and more right after this. Now, one thing I could have forgotten, but have reminded myself, is, of course, that, well, I was going to do this big thing about cavalries and, the fact that when the cavalry is here, it's something we think of as a benefit. The cavalry arriving to bring back all of that extra quality to the team. But maybe you need the cavalry to arrive for you when you're surfing the internet. Can't even get through that one. Surfing the internet online, because there is only one cavalry you need, and that is NordVPN. So make sure you go and head over to nordvpn.com/Gooner to get yourself a significant discount of a 1 or a 2-year deal. And if you indeed would like to go over and get yourself a significant discount off those, you can get 4 months extra thrown in free on top of that 2-year deal as well. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee on top of that too. So change your digital location on your laptop, your mobile, or indeed your tablet. Go indeed to protect yourself. Maybe you are using a public Wi-Fi service as well. It is without a doubt an absolute necessity. I'm sorry, chat box. You're all judging me. I clicked the button and I was like, no, I didn't do what I'd planned. It's one of those things. But yeah, not the smoothest one today, I believe. But I think that's fair. But what is smooth is the protection that you can get from using NordVPN. I know I am reaching, but you should reach for the stars when it comes to VPN protection. And there is only one that can give you that, and that is NordVPN. And yeah, I just dropped points with that one, but you'll never drop the security that you could potentially get from using NordVPN to give you that extra layer. So there is no doubt in my mind that it is the right service for you. Right, this is part 2 of today's show where we jump into the chat box and tackle some of your questions. So let's go into the chat box, shall we? And tackle some of your thoughts and feelings around what is, of course, Arsenal's current international break reality. Lucas says, are you concerned about City being 4 points behind? Well, they were less than that when we went into the October international break. They were closer to us. So we've widened that gap from the last international break to this one. So am I concerned? As much as I was, really about Man City, we always kind of thought about them as being, as the season kind of went through and Liverpool were losing games, to be Arsenal's most likely challenger for the Premier League title. And they have that kind of monotonous juggernaut-esque kind of ability, if you will, to chase teams, to run teams down, to continue a winning record. And we just got to hope that they will drop points. They're not the City side of the 22-23 season. They're not the City side of the 23-24 season. I believe they're not as good as that team. And I believe that we are better than those two teams that we were in those seasons. So I think that we have got a great chance of winning the league this season. And I hope that will be the case. Lane Starkin says, you don't watch rugby. How do I know this? And can anyone else guess why? I watch it now and again, but it's not my sport, is what I'll say. Julian says, what is happening with those charges? Of course, the 115, or I think it's even gone up from 115, but still we're waiting for any kind of any sort of indication about when this is going to be. It was hoped that it would be this year. It would hope that it would be at a time where Arsenal could benefit from it. But we don't know if that is going to be the case now. So let's wait and see if there is any extra insight in the coming weeks, months, years. Samuel says, Tom, is there not an age limit for the players that are playing in the academy games, or are players over the age of 18 still fine? You can have like a certain number of players over that age. I think it's like 3. I think you can have 3 players over the age of 21 playing in the under 21s, if I'm correct. But I will check that for you. So yeah, I'll look into what that's going to be. I'm going to do some quick Googling. As we might see. So yeah, I'm looking into that, and I'll see if I can get you an answer. Let's go next then, therefore, to Nasir, who says, is Arsenal bottling another title race again? I mean, they've widened the gap since the last international break, Nasir, so no. we've opened that gap wider since we last had an international break. Tom says, to what extent are you wasted talent as a salesman? Could you be the streets giving flyers out, convincing Spurs fans to be supporters of a better club? Well, I'm selling the content here. That's all I can do. That's my job. I'm selling the content. So I hope that it goes down the best I possibly can. Arthur says, did anyone else see Ty being pushed back by the stewards? I don't know why you've got a smiley face, Arthur. It's a bit of a strange one, but I hope that he's all right. I sincerely hope he's okay, because it didn't look particularly comfortable. Unfortunately, obviously, when you get into kind of that business and you're on AFTV or you're in those settings and, you know, you've got certain personalities, I guess, then, and you're easily riled up, as clearly Ty can be a little easily riled up, you know, and I think people do take advantage of that, unfortunately, and it seemed that was the case. But Arthur, I don't know why you put a smiley face by that comment. It's a bit sadistic. The King K-Man says, the thing about Spurs is they no longer have Kane and Son. They always scored against us. I mean, Bayern do. We're playing them very soon. Andrew says, what is happening with the Chargers again? We don't really know at the moment. We're still waiting for we're still waiting for more information on the extent of that problem. So hopefully that is something that comes soon. Aaron says, morning, Tom, and all. Given Kai loves to score against Chelsea, would you start him up top if he's fit? That is, and that's going to be the question when he does return, is how he kind of adapts, how he reintegrates, how he improves, you know, when he returns. So yeah, that's certainly something to look at as well. Shanita says, Tom, according to Michael Owen, if all 3 teams have all their players fit, Arsenal are probably the 3rd best team in the league. Discuss. Starting 11, I think we've said before that Arsenal don't have the best starting 11 in the league. I think we discussed that Arsenal have the best squad in the league at the moment, but I think Liverpool probably have the best starting 11 if everybody's fit. City, I mean, they've got the Ballon d'Or winner. They've got the best number 9 in the world. So yeah, I think that's probably fair. Shawnita, if everybody has everybody fit, then Liverpool and City have better starting 11s, but I think Arsenal have a better squad than them. And hopefully it's that squad that's going to give Arsenal the edge when it comes to winning the title race. Kingley says, Tom, who are you most looking forward to seeing back from injuries? For me, it's Ødegaard. Yeah, for me, it's Ødegaard, and it's also Havertz. I mean, Havertz, I'm very, very curious to see how he returns. US Arsenal fan says, Tom, how would you rate Eza so far this season? I'm slightly disappointed so far by initial experience, but I'm giving him a 6. I think 6, 7 out of 10 is probably fair for Eza. You know, he's scored some important goals. He's got some important assists as well, but I think everyone kind of expected more. I think we've had a very tricky start to this season. We've had some very difficult games. We've gone to Anfield, we've gone to Newcastle, we've gone to obviously Sunderland, which seems to be a pretty difficult place to go to as well. We've already played City as well, and we've still got to just play Spurs and Chelsea. I think the second half of the season, where we've got an easier second half of the campaign than the first half, I think that we will see more from Eza. I also think that his better role is probably going to come on the left-hand side in this Arsenal team. I think that playing in the middle again for Arsenal is very different to playing through the middle for Palace. And I think that in the wider areas, you're going to get more time and space, where you don't get that space through the middle that Eza perhaps, I think, needs more. So I think that we'll see more from him in the second half of the season. Yeah, Amira says, gutting news about Katie Reid yesterday, including Adjaman, and that's 3 Arsenal players with ruptured ACLs. It's in the women's game in particular, ACLs seem to be increasingly prevalent. Now, ACLs are always a really unfortunate injury to suffer, and most of the time, and it's very difficult to kind of even discuss the level of like how much is associated with luck. how much luck is involved or bad luck is involved in these types of injuries. Having suffered an ACL myself, as many of you know, these things can just happen out of nowhere. There isn't, it's not because you're playing loads necessarily. It's not because of, training methods or whatever. There's no conspiracies around it. They are just bad luck. But they do seem to be happening like a lot in the women's game, and that's something that probably needs to be thought about. And questions need to be asked about why is it happening? Is there a way of kind of getting an answer, if you will, for them? Stacey, did you know anyone who was involved in the football hooliganism, or did you experience anything in that nature? I'm not English, so I find it fascinating. No, it's kind of before my time, Shay. I mean, I went to a lot of lower league games when I was younger, but I never really experienced any of that. It was kind of before my time. Julian says, Tom, any news on Victor? Haven't heard anything myself, which is concerning. I think it's concerning. No news is sometimes good news, and it seems like hopefully he will be returning soon. Arf says, smiling face because that guy can hold his ground when it comes to Arsenal. Okay, well, you've probably just about saved yourself there. Rev says, we are the only team without players fit, though, and we are still top. So I don't think that's necessarily fair. Fair enough. I still think the other teams have better starting 11s than us. They also have injuries too, but we definitely have more. But I think that they have probably better starting 11s than us, on paper at least. Paul says, as Wenger said, everyone thinks their wife is the prettiest. Same with the top football teams as well. Soup says, I've heard Clive say that Eza is getting around 14 less touches than he needs in a match. And, well, I mean, that's fair, but it's also worth pointing out that the context of playing for Arsenal and Palace is obviously very, very different. Just because, and it also depends on where those touches are happening, where those moments he's getting the ball are in relation to the opposition, what type of kind of context on the pitch is it in transition, is it on the counter, is it just being passed the ball on the edge of the box when we're trying to kind of break down an opposition team. So it's tricky. Eza's new role and Eza's kind of transition and integration into the Arsenal team is going to be a longer process than maybe we thought it might be because of that. And we're learning every single week about that. We're learning and improving our understanding of his situation as well. Ames says, I ruptured my ACL playing rugby. My studs gripped into the grass too well. Yeah, doing minor play, I was playing indoor football and in kind of the hard surface and the rubber, and my foot got kind of trapped and my knee turned and my bottom half of my leg didn't. And so one went and the other didn't. And it was, just, I don't need to go anymore because it wasn't pretty. D says, I think people underestimate the complexity of Arteta's system. It takes players a long time to adapt to other teams, perhaps, and players. Gyökeres and Eza are both going to fly after Christmas. Morgana says, Tom, we pay 67 million for a player and he's being outplayed by 15-year-olds. I don't think so. I don't think that's fair. I mean, Dowman hasn't scored any, hasn't assisted any so far in his appearances. He's a flair player. He's a young, very young player, and he's great at taking players on. But it's a different... I mean, think about the moment we saw from Eza in Sunderland. There were some great times where we kind of got in behind the defence, but he's also playing the 10 role. And the 10 role is a much more difficult role to play than the right wing position. Definitely. So I don't think that's a fair comment at all in any way. Julian says, you say no news is good news, but I remember no news on Kai at Old Trafford that was out for 3 months. I mean, we got information on that pretty soon after the situation. So it's been a while since Burnley. We would have known if there was something worse with Victor, I think, by now. I don't know that, but by now, based upon what we've experienced before, we would know more at this point. So Nicholas says, Tom, the debate in my group chat last night was if Arsenal do the domestic treble or win the Champions League this year, what would you choose? Oh, the domestic treble. 3 trophies over 1. 100%. FA Cup, League Cup, Premier League, or the Champions League. Treble all day long. Tom says, has the international break come at the best time for Arsenal versus Man City? As we know, momentum is massive in football. Yeah, I mean, certainly I think it comes at a good time. You sometimes would say that you want to play immediately as soon as possible after you've not won a game. But with the injuries that we've got, I think there are more benefits to it than negatives. Phil says, Tom, if all the expected players come back, that would probably mean that Max and Waneri would miss out. So would you let them go play under 21 so they can get regular games? Definitely. Vacan says, is the perspective on City similar to that of us in the 22-23 season in the sense that teams think that they can be more open defensively, allowing them to play more football? Maybe, but much, much, much less than it was for us in 22-23. Kingley says, Liverpool and Arsenal are close in the midfield. I would rate ours a bit higher. The attack is Liverpool's, but the defence, we are clear, and that's why I'd take our 11. over. There's a Bulgarian Gooner says, I don't know when our visit to the Etihad is, but do you expect to see Michael Oliver involved in that game? I sincerely hope not. Nifty Legend says, that's lazy analysis saying that 65 million player is being outplayed by a 15-year-old. Saka was injured, and as soon as he came back, Noni also got injured as well. Oslo Gooner says, big up, Tom, and all the Gooners as well. Thank you, Oslo. Very much appreciate your kind words. And if you haven't yet dropped a like on the video, please make sure you do. Let's just see if we have missed any others. Jonathan says, what's your favourite Arsenal song? That's not the... it's got to be the El Neni song. Shake It All Out. It's got to be the El Neni song is my favourite Arsenal song. When that gets going in the stadium, even after El Neni has left, particularly in away games, you will tend to hear it. But Mohamed El Neni, the Shake It All Out has got to be my favourite Arsenal song. No, I'm not going to sing it. So don't even leave the comment because it's not going to be one. And he says, that's a tough one. I think I could switch on that one each day of the week. Domestic force to rub in anyone's face, or Kings of Europe as well. It's triple. I get why people want the Champions League because we've never won it. I get it. But no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to, in terms of kind of the choice of choosing the Champions League over a domestic treble. It's just not going to happen for me. Never. I don't think you can justify one trophy over three. I just don't think you can. Mark says, Tom, I have the strong gut feeling that when the Arsenal at full strength will be very frightening. What do you say? I say you're absolutely right. No, I'm not going to sing it, and I'm not one to bow to peer pressure. So unfortunately, you are you're trying to get blood from a stone here. Curtis says, yes, deserves a strong word. We have the quality and depth to earn it. The league as well. Great time to support the Arsenal with everybody on board with new contracts as well. Roy says, what's your favourite non-Arsenal player, current and past? I feel like domestic double is likely this season. Favourite non-Arsenal player from the past? Non-Arsenal player from the past. Trying to go. I mean, I do think back to that Barcelona team that Andreas Iniesta is it's very difficult to look past Andreas Iniesta because I just feel as though he's probably the most technically gifted player whose name is not Lionel Messi. And I've got a lot of time for the Spanish national team and those dominant kind of years between those 2008 and 2020 and 2012. So Andreas Iniesta is probably my favourite non-Arsenal player from the past. And then non-Arsenal player right now, it's probably Dominik Szoboszlai still. I think Dominik Szoboszlai is one of the most underrated players currently in the Premier League. I think he's one of the most misused players by his current club. I loved what he did at Salzburg. He continued to do that at Leipzig, and now annoyingly he signed for Liverpool. So just because he signed for Liverpool doesn't mean I don't like him as a footballer. But I absolutely love Dominik Szoboszlai. He's just such a good player. Such a good player. I love Barcola as well. Bradley Barcola is also another player I really enjoy watching. And I am gradually enjoying more of what I see from Jeremy Doku as well. But I still feel as though he needs to do it more consistently to change that kind of rhetoric. If you remember when he first signed for City, I said that I thought Havertz was the better signing of the two. And I still feel that right now. But gradually, I think Doku has the potential to make what he did against Liverpool a more consistent thing. And if he does do that, he could become one of the most dangerous players in the Premier League, no doubt. Chris's Champions League would make us an elite club in Europe. It would also stop Chelsea boasting about it. I don't frankly care. I think that means that you're more concerned about what other fans are saying than what it is to celebrate 3 trophies in a single season for Arsenal. A domestic treble would be an unbelievable result for Arsenal. Tipsy says, people should also be used to the fact that Eze is not Odegaard. Lots of touches and dictating our players, not his game or superpower. It's moments of magic and finishing actions that are his currency. Love that. Mark says, combinations I'd like to see include Eze and Martinelli on the left and a 4-3-3, Havertz and Gyökeres as number 10s and the 9, and in the 4-2-3-1 kind of formation. I mean, yeah, Havertz behind Gyökeres is something I do want to see. Definitely want to see against certain teams where we can afford to play like one of Rice and Zubi and then play both of Havertz and Eze or both of Havertz and Odegaard. I would like to see that in kind of the 2-10 roles. That's I'd love to see that. Really would love to see that. Charlie says, I can't stand him. I assume that's Szoboszlai. He's not, I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I've followed his career since the Salzburg days, as many of you are still watching the show when he was linked to Arsenal, when he was at Salzburg, will know. But yeah, he's always been a player that I've very much enjoyed watching. Tom says, how likely is it that absolutely nothing happens in the January transfer window for Arsenal and our injury crisis continues to mirror last season, but to a great scale? I think that there isn't necessarily, if everybody comes back injured, I don't think we necessarily need to go into the January window and sign anybody. If there are injuries and significant ones, then yes, but I don't think there's a necessity for Arsenal to sign anyone in January. And then it says, once all the players have returned come next week, we will have more than 20 fit senior players. Who would you leave out from the match day squad? I think that it's going to be your Dowmans, it's going to be your Wineries, it's going to be Norgard. These are the players I think that are probably going to end up being left out of the main squad when we've got everybody back. Mark says, if Arsenal fans did not care what rival fans said, what would the discourse be? Yeah, I know. It'd be very different to what it is now. Unfortunately, that's kind of how football media is in 2025. There is such kind of a lock-in on rivalry and how we think about and talk about fans. So I think that's all. I've always said that from an Arsenal point of view, it's something that we need to be a lot more conscious about, is focusing more on ourselves. I think we get too locked in about what rival fans, rival pundits are saying about Arsenal. I'm guilty of it, certainly. So, I'm not under any illusions that I need to also think about my own advice, but we do focus too much, in my opinion, on what other people are saying. Mike says, hey, Tom, what does a good festive period for Arsenal look like? W's. That's what it looks like, Mike. W's. Just W's. Mark says, it's hard to imagine we'll have injuries worse than what we had in the past few months, and we've weathered that in the first place, and that gives me confidence, and it should you too. Absolutely. Curtis says, Nkapie needs more time. I mean, everyone needs more time, but there's a lot of games coming up in the festive period, so we're going to see, I think, a lot of rotation over that period as well. So Nicholas says Szoboszlai should go to a good team where he's better showcased. Oh, I absolutely agree. Just saying, says Tom, would you put a strong squad against Bayern to save them for the... Oh, I'm prioritising Spurs and Chelsea over Bayern all day long. Bayern is not a must-win game. I cannot stress that enough. The Bayern game is not a must-win game. The Spurs and Chelsea games are must-win games. So no doubt that we absolutely should be thinking about the potential for us to win those Premier League games way more than we need to, regarding kind of the potential to win that Bayern game. So yeah, I'm just making a note of that actually, because that's something I want to write about. Bayern game priorities and rotation. See, I told you guys, you inspire my writing. And you always give me ideas about what I want. Especially, I tell you what, you guys are invaluable during the international break for giving me ideas about what to write about, because it can be a pretty dull period, can it not, during the international break. Damien says, we've won the league, FA Cup double before. Would adding a League Cup be that much better? Yes, it absolutely would. Domestic treble is something that not too many, I think maybe only Man City have done. So yeah, without a doubt, 100%. Whereas the Champions League has been won by somebody every single year. But a domestic treble is, again, something that's quite unique. In fact, I don't know how many teams have done. How many teams have won the domestic treble in England? 2. Man United and Man City have achieved a domestic treble. Man United completed in 1998-99, winning the Premier League, FA Cup. No, that wasn't it. That's not a domestic treble. That's obviously that's a treble. A domestic treble is the 3 cups. Let's see. This article might have the answer. Man United are the only other English side to win that treble. Yeah, but what about the domestic treble? The local rivals Man City won the league on the final day as they finished. Guardiola then led his side to a penalty shot victory against Chelsea in the EFL Cup final before ending the season in style, the 6-0 win over Watford in the FA Cup final. So City the only team that have done it, I think. I think City are the only team that have done it. But maybe. I mean, Helix saying that Liverpool might have done it. Liverpool honours. Let's see. We can probably work it out if Liverpool have won a domestic treble. League Cups. How many League Cups? FA Cups. League Cups. 65. Did they win the league in 65? No. 74. Didn't they win the league in 74? No. 86. Didn't they win the league in 86? Yes. Did they win the FA Cup in 86? Sorry, the League Cup in 86? No, they didn't. 89? Obviously, no, they did not win the league in 89. 92? No. 2001? No. They've never won the domestic treble, Liverpool. Never have done it. Never done it. Demi says, give me a song to sing about a domestic treble. Exactly. 100%. That'd be a great opportunity to invent a new song. Super says, if you had to choose a best 11 from the Arsenal lean years to compete for the title now, what would it be? The lean years. So what are we describing that as 2007 after the Champions League final to, shall we say, after Thierry Henry left? That's probably the easiest way to do it. So from the point that Thierry Henry left to when did we compete for the 2022-23 season? So till 2021. Shall we say what, 2008 till 2021? I think that's probably the best way to say the lean years for Arsenal. Yeah, 2008 to 2021. So in goal, it's going to be Szczesny, I guess. Szczesny probably. Szczesny in his prime in goal. Right back would be Sanya. Centre halves would be Koscielny, Mertesacker. I guess Gabriel fits in it a little bit, doesn't he? Does Gabriel fit? But Gabriel's part of this current. I'm tempted not to pick anybody from this current Arsenal team. So Koscielny, Vermaelen? I don't know, Vermaelen over Mertesacker. I have a lot of time for Mertesacker. I really did like Mertesacker. So it's difficult that. Or do I go back even further to those late 2010s? Difficult. I think I want to go Mertesacker. I kind of like the Koscielny Mertesacker combination. So Sanya, Koscielny, Mertesacker, left back. I mean, Nacho Monreal, right? Trying to think of anybody I prefer to Nacho Monreal at left back. Tierney, I guess. Tierney at left back, probably. I know a lot of you are saying Saka, but I don't want Saka at left back. Saka's part of this current team. So yeah, Saka left back. No. Tierney left back. I'm going Sanya to bring that kind of balance on the right. Tierney to give you more attack down the left. Koscielny and Mertesacker in the middle. DM is going to be... I mean, Francis Coquelin is who's come into my mind. Someone said Ashley Cole. Francis Coquelin is the one that's standing out to Alex Song as well. Alex Song. Diaby, if he was fully fit, is not the 6, by the way. Cesc Diaby as your midfield. Diaby's not a 6. Diaby's a box-to-box midfielder. So the 6 is kind of like... I love this. Nifty says, Tom, are you mad? Andre Santos all day. Andre Santos is a great shout, but definitely not for this team if we want to win a title. I'm tempted to go Song. I think Alex Song would be my 6. If I'm using that formation, by the way, I'm just thinking about the current Arsenal formation. I think Cesc obviously is going to be in there. Cesc has to be in there. Ozil, Diaby, and I think everybody fully fit as well. And I think if Diaby stayed fit for a whole season, he's absolutely a player that could win a title for a team. He's that good. If you weren't really of a kind of football conscious age to remember how good Diaby was, he was incredible. Nathan said, "What's the question?" I'm telling him the question is, make a title-winning team out of the lean years players. So like between 2008 to 2021, 22. That's the question. And I know that Gabriel did play during those years. I guess I'm tempted to put I guess if we're going to play by the rules, it's any players that played in any of those teams. So we're going Gabriel. So it's going to be Koscielny and Gabriel at the back. It's going to be Sanya at right back. It's going to be Tierney at left back. It's going to be Song, Cesc, and Ozil. I'm playing Cesc and Ozil as kind of like dual 10s, if you like. Oh, but mad to feel like it seems mad to not put Diaby in this team if you can put him in a team. It really does seem mad. No, I'm going to go Song, Diaby, and Cesc. That's going to be my midfield three. Song, Diaby, and Cesc. It's very current Arsenal, that, because you've got kind of this box crashing, box to box driving midfielder in Diaby. You've got kind of your Rice figure there. You've got Cesc, who is now our Odegaard. You've got Song, who's currently our Zubi. So Song, Diaby, Cesc is my midfield three. I think I've got to go for that. Centre forward has to be, and I'm really sorry about this, but it has to be Robin van Persie. I don't think there can be any question. It's Robin van Persie. Left-hand side, it's Alexis Sanchez on the left. And then on the right, I guess we can put Bukayo Saka, right? Because Bukayo Saka was starting for Arsenal on the right-hand side from 21, 22. I think it's got to be Saka on the right. And yeah, I know I've not put Santi in there, and I know Santi's one of my favourite players ever. Rosicki as well is one of my favourite players ever. But I can surely put Saka on the right-hand side because he played during those lean years at the start of the 2020s. So I think I can have Saka. If I can have Gabriel, I can have Saka. So yeah, Saka right, Alexis left, RVP through the middle. Cesc, Diaby, Song is my midfield. Tierney, Gabriel, Koscielny, Sanya, and Szczesny in goal. That's my team. Petr Cech, I guess. Would I rather have Petr Cech over Szczesny? I completely forgot about Petr Cech. Was Petr Cech good enough during the years he played for Arsenal to get into the team? Still a good goalkeeper. I think he still won a Golden Glove, actually, with Arsenal. Now I'm thinking back. So did Szczesny, to be fair, also won a Golden Glove with Arsenal. Golden Glove. Ice hockey honours. Well, hold on. What is this? Ice hockey? Petr Cech? Ice hockey career. In October 2019, Cech signed for ice hockey side Guildford Phoenix of the National Ice Hockey League Division 2. He chose to wear the number 39 jersey in honour of Dominik Hasek, and Cech said that he would continue his role as technical and performance advisor at Chelsea while also playing ice hockey in his spare time. He was named man of the match on his ice hockey debut in 2013 after stopping 2 penalty shots in a shootout victory and making several other crucial saves. After winning a treble with Guildford Phoenix in 21-22 season, Cech signed for the National Ice Hockey Division 1 side Chelmsford Chieftains in 2022. And in June 2023, after one season with Chelmsford, he signed for fellow Division 1 side Oxford City Stars. Wow, I never knew any of this. He returned to his parent club in December before re-signing with the Giants on loan for the second time in the 23-24 season. In the summer of the same year, he joined Belfast Giants for the third time on a short-term deal. Goodness me. How did I not know about Petr Cech's ice hockey career? That's completely new to me. Jamie says, best Cech was the best hockey goalie of all time. I didn't know that. That's completely. I think when he moved back to Chelsea as kind of a director, I completely kind of ignored that element of his. But he's still playing. It's 2019 to present. Still says he's playing for ice hockey. So yeah, there you go. Brilliant, amazing, love that. Absolutely love that. He's also a drummer. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tipsy. I did know that. I didn't know he was obviously a drummer. I might go Cech in goal over Szczesny. You know, I think Szczesny maybe got a little bit more of an error in him than Cech did during the time at Arsenal. So yeah. So the full team is Cech in goal, Sanya right back, Koscielny and Gabriel centre halves. I know Emi Martinez is not a bad shout as well, Vacan, but I'm still going to go with Cech. Tierney left back, Song, Diaby, Cesc is my midfield. Saka on the right during those lean years, during the early 20s. I absolutely can have Saka. I absolutely can. 100%. Saka was part of our team during those years in the early points. So was Gabriel. I absolutely can. You're never going to convince me otherwise. It's just not happening. It's just not going to happen. And Alexis Sanchez on the left and RVP through the middle. So He was not left back during the 21-22 season. He was not left back during the 21-22 season, mate. No. Just no. He just wasn't. It's just not the case. It's just not true. It's just not true. Anyway, put in the comment section, not the chat box, but the comment section if you think you can come up with a better team than that using any players that played for any Arsenal team in their relevant positions from the 2008-2009 season to the 2021 to 2022 season. So let me know. Who would you choose for your team? Any of the players that played during that period, put it in the comment section down below. Thank you so much as always for tuning in. Really appreciate your time. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal.